Good morning. Sorry I'm starting us a couple of minutes late. We are on lesson 3 of our book, and as I mentioned, I ordered some books this week, and if you wanted one of the teacher's books, I made copies of today's lesson. You can just raise your hand. But because of copyright, I'm not going to give this out to someone who doesn't have a book coming. We're allowed to show them in our service, the videos. We're allowed to put them and stream them and put them online and keep them up there until Monday morning. But we're not allowed to distribute their material. And so if you have purchased a book, I don't mind doing a lesson. If you did purchase a book and you purchased one from me, it's $20. Just put the money in the collection plate. If you do cash, put it in an envelope and write on that it's for lesson book. If you write a check, just put that in the for portion of the check, so we can do that, and that way the office can keep up with it. So you don't have to pay me, just put it in the collection, I guess is what I'm saying. I would prefer not to have any money run through me, is what it is. I don't want to get to the situation where I reach in my pocket, 6 months from today and pull out $40 and say, wonder where that $40 came from. So that's the reason I don't like it to come through me. Romans 1, verse 20, for since creation of the world, his invisible attributes, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood through what has been made, so that they are without excuse. Paul says it's possible to know there is a God simply by looking at creation. Now, you may not know a whole lot about that God, but you can know there is a God by looking at creation. This lesson is lesson 3, Does God Exist? And we're looking at divine design. Now, this is a part of the book where he's talking about truth. The first lesson was on Does Truth Exist? What is your answer to that? Yes. It's true. And it's self-defeating to deny that truth does not exist. And he spent quite a bit of time showing that to us. So does God exist? Well, what do you believe about that? Yes, we believe that God exists. So far, we've seen evidence that he does through the beginning of the universe. And that's what is called the cosmological argument. And basically, the cosmological argument is structured like this. Everything that had a beginning had a cause. Well, that makes sense. Now, your kids have all asked you the question, where did I come from? I mean, even our kids know that we had to come from somewhere. So everything that exists had a cause. The universe had a cause. It had a beginning. He defines it as the Big Bang. That's probably as good an assumption as anything. At one point there was nothing, and everything from that point sprung into being. It had a cause. He used 5 lines of scientific evidence that the universe had a beginning. And he used the acrostic surge. All of this points to the fact that the universe had a beginning. The second law of thermodynamics, which means everything is going from a state of order to disorder. Everything is progressing from order to chaos. In the terms of energy, everything is running down. In terms of matter, everything is deteriorating. U stands for the universe is expanding. There was, at one point, a beginning, and from that point, similar to an explosion, everything is just expanding outward. He'll mention that in today's lesson. He mentions the radiation afterglow. It's the remnant heat from the Big Bang. He mentioned the great galaxy seeds and very precise temperature variations in the radiation afterglow that points toward a beginning. And then he mentions Einstein's theory of general relativity. Today's lesson is lesson 3. He'll be talking about the teleological argument. The teleological argument is that design demands a designer. So he'll be talking about the design of the universe and how that demands that a God do that. I won't take up any more of your time. This should take us almost to the end of class. If not, I'll be present for 2 or 3 questions if you have any. Okay. First of all, do you have any questions about what he said? Kind of straightforward. His illustration's a little over my head. I don't know about you with some of the things that are going on. Anyone, can you state the teleological argument? Pardon? That's what this is today, the teleological. Can anyone kind of state it in the simplest form? Design demands a designer. And because of the highly complex design of the universe obviously has a designer. Psalm 19:1, the heavens declare the glory of God, the skies proclaim the work of his hands. How does this verse support the teleological argument? I don't think he answered it in those words. The heavens declare the glory of God. How does that support the teleological argument? And what about all those pictures of of just the planetary bodies in our solar system, and then comparing it to other stars, the nearest star, and then comparing that star to the size of other stars in the universe? It boggles the imagination. And you look at that and you can say, that's amazing. You know, something like that just doesn't happen by chance. Such as that. He mentioned the anthropic principle. Can anyone just define quickly or what the anthropic principle is?
That's the one where certain things, like 120 of them, for life to exist on the earth, many of them go out.
Just to have life exist, things have to be just right. Gravity has to be this much, but no more. Rotation has to be this way or no more. The expansion of the galaxy has to be this much, but no more. And it's that sweet spot. What do they call it? The Goldilocks principle. It has to be just right in order for life to exist. And that is one of the arguments that we have used. Teleological argument is one that we have used very, very much so through the years to describe the complexity of the universe and how it demands that God would design it. What did Stephen Hawking say about the precision of the expansion rate of the universe? This is from a scientist. What did he say? An atheist, actually, but a scientist. That it had to be just right. He said, if the expansion rate of the universe were different by 1 part in 1,000 million million, the universe would have collapsed back on itself or never developed galaxies. The point is, we needed God long before Darwin came along and his explanation of the origin of the species. We need God just to have the earth, just to have a place to live that could be supportive of life. How do atheists, though, respond to this proof for God? How do they respond to it? Yes, I'm sorry, Vic. You know, that is really interesting that they would do that. And quantum physics proposes that there are multiple universes. Now, I can't tell you the scientific part of that, but I can tell you the science fiction part of that, because I'm a student of science fiction. Apparently, at least part of that theory is that there are an infinite number of universes in which different things would happen. If you think about it, in December 5th, 1957, I was born. My mom and dad married roughly 1 year before that. I don't know how long they dated, but let's say it was a year before that. Had they never met, they never would have married. And had they never married, I never would have been born. There is a universe in which that happened, is kind of the way that happened. For every possibility, there is an infinite number of universes that branch out from that possibility. At least that's the way they explain it in science fiction. Okay. How much that has to do with actual physics. But his point was, we just happen to live in the universe where all the right things happened. And therefore it is by chance that it all happened. So if you have an infinite number of universes in which an infinite number of things could happen, this just happens to be the universe in which everything happened. The only reason that we're aware of it is because we're here. Go ahead. And that's what he said. Every one of those universes had to have a beginning, which goes back to the argument, the cosmological argument, and the argument from design. If it happened, there had to be a beginning. So for them, the best they can do is chance. Let's see. On this is in the teacher's book here, but there is a debate on their website, crossexamine.org. And it is a debate between Christian John Lennox and actually atheist Richard Dawkins. And he says this is an interesting follow-up for you to look at. If you do have YouTube, or if you do have a way to go online, you can generally look up crossexamine.com. You could do Richard Dawkins debate, and it will pull up that for you, that you can take a look at this. Any other questions that you have about this particular lesson or thoughts? For those of you who purchased the actual book, and by I mean actual book, the one I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist by Geisler, there should be a lot more detailed information in that book. Those of you who have a teacher's book that goes directly with this particular lesson, All of the points that he outlined on here are in that teacher's book. That's the reason I'm making available the teacher's books, because I don't want you, I want you to be able to sit here and enjoy what he says and not try to take down every word that he says. And I want you to have a record of this in the future. So it will go along quite well. Those of you who did order books, they should be in tomorrow. And I'm just sorry we didn't get them in time for today. Yes, sir. 20 bucks. You can get them. You get them from me next week. Yes, sir. I bought a limited number. They're 20 bucks each, so I didn't want to buy books that would just not be used. But nope. Make the check out to the church. Put in the bottom that it's for this class book. I would just rather not handle the money. Is the best way to do that. Anyone else? Any thoughts? I think the video to me was self-explanatory, or Tori. I don't really think we need to labor with any, unless next week if you come in with questions, something that you've mulled upon, let me know and we'll try to answer some of those questions. If not, we'll just kind of rewind that little bit and we'll begin again on chapter 4. Again, apologize. I had run home to help Tina kind of get the meal ready. Yes, ma'am.
The only time that I think we could watch this DVD 10 times
Mm-hmm.
and get something else.
Yes, you could.
The thing it was is like there's so much information. Too much information for me to have questions.
You're right. So, it may come to you, so jot down a note and we'll get to it next week. But on that crossexamined.org, or if you go to YouTube and just look up Cross-Examined on YouTube, they have a number of videos available, some that are even more up to date than these. And as a matter of fact, he is about to start to completely redo this video series and add some of the newer information that he's been able to glean in the last 10 years. All right, thank you for your time.